say hamstrings and quads. So we'll start off hamstrings a little bit.
Okay.
Okay. So already I'm thinking about 3 exercises. Are we? Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. I've got my 3.
Okay.
So
I've got my 3.
okay. Do you want me to start off? So I'm going
Yeah.
to say. I've only thought about 3 best. So 3 best.
Are we
I've gone
choosing
for
machines as well? We can chat about machines as well.
Yeah. I've thought movement pattern, then machine.
Okay.
So movement pattern number 1, a hip hinge. I'm going to go for a stiff leg deadlift.
Are you doing these in order of best to worst?
Yeah, I'm going to do that. So that's my first one.
So if you
RDL,
only had one option to train hamstrings for the rest of your life, would you do a hip hinge?
yeah, I'd say so. In the sense of bang for your buck efficiency. I'm not going to say it's the best hamstring exercise in the sense of direct solely hamstring, but I'm going to say bang for our buck efficiency and also enjoyment. I'd choose a hip hinge. So I'd go for a stiff leg deadlift. However, I also think an RDL would be pretty. Yes, it would be fantastic.
Okay.
So that'd be my number 1 in the sense of my first one that pops up in my head. 'Cause it's the biggest one as well.
So my number 1 would be a seated hamstring curl.
Okay, what seated hamstring curl would you go for?
Probably the Cybex Eagle
Okay.
version 2.
Okay, yeah.
Reason being, obviously, it trains through knee flexion, which a hinge doesn't. A hinge trains through hip
But
extension.
could we not argue if we're trying to get the short-term range of the hamstring, which we would be with an isolation, especially with how the session would be laid out, you prefer to do a lying?
No,
But
because
it's a
I'm
bit
not
more
trying to get
emphasis.
the shortened.
You're trying to get lengthened, so you try to do it. Okay, fair
No,
enough. So why, if you're trying to get the lengthened or mid-range, why aren't you doing a hip hinge instead?
No, I'm not
Number
trying
one?
to just get one of
Finn,
the
this
other.
isn't work.
Yeah, so I was saying, seated hamstring curl, and then Reese was saying, well, wouldn't you want to let the lying hamstring curl for the shortened range? The reason that I'm putting isolation in there isn't to just target the shortened range. That's not the goal of an isolation movement. So the reason that I would have a seated hamstring curl would be that you can create a lot of stability. Injury risk is lower than doing a hip hinge. Hip hinge is going to incorporate more. If we're looking at in isolation, I would, my second exercise, by the way, would be a stiff leg deadlift.
Okay.
But if we're looking at it in isolation of the hamstrings, I would do a seated hamstring curl. The reason I do a seated hamstring curl over a prone hamstring curl is that generally you can create a bit more stability, and it is going to be a little bit more challenging through the lengthened range, which is what I would want if I was looking at in isolation one versus the other. I would rather have a seated because we're going to be stronger in that lengthened range. There's going to be more hypertrophic potential in that mid to lengthened range. So I would rather have a seated rather than a lying. Again, it depends on when you're going to put it in the session and so on and so forth. But if we're looking at it in isolation, like best versus worst, or what would be better, seated hamstring curl.
Yeah, I think, to be fair, that segues perfectly into my second one, seated hamstring curl. I'd choose a different machine. I'd do a live fitness or a prime. That's what I'd go with.
Okay, my second one will be a stiff leg deadlift. Maybe even, it's a little bit controversial, maybe, depending on the individual, maybe from a deficit.
Okay. What about a dumbbell RDL?
Yeah,
I think a dumbbell RDL is a pretty... I didn't think about that. But I think if I'm going off strictly internal feel, I'm going to get a
if
real
we're
good
looking
feel.
at 3 exercises, then
Yeah.
I would say a stiff leg and an RDL.
Yeah, I'd say actually a good shout, because I'm not a massive fan of lying.
I don't think a prone hamstring curl needs to be in there. I don't think
No.
a kneeling hamstring curl needs to be in there.
No.
I don't think a Nordic hamstring curl needs to be in
So
there.
these are the worst. So if we're going into the worst...
We can chat about the worst.
Yeah, well, we had 3 best, 3 worst, didn't we? So
Okay.
3 worst hamstring exercises. I think a Nordic, other than... From an injury prevention standpoint, the amount of stuff that I did...
A lot of research, yeah.
I remember you told me about it, and I was like, okay, because I had an assignment, and you were like, oh yeah, look at Nordic hamstring curls, there's so much data out there, and there's a stupid amount. It's probably the most researched exercise from a performance standpoint. So for sports performance, if you're a
Remember when
footballer...
we did them in lockdown?
Yeah.
We did them with the
but
reverse
like
band.
in like an actual practical hypertrophic setting of trying to grow muscle, which I'm guessing most people are here for.
Yeah,
they're a bit-
right, Nordic,
they're a
then,
bit
one of the worst.
Yeah, Nordic would be one of the worst from a hypertrophy perspective.
Sam, if you can maybe clip this up and put like best and worst.
Yeah, that'd be really
cool.
good. Yeah, that'd be good. What else have we got?
I don't know if we can put a prone. I would actually, let's say.
Yeah, I'm not a massive fan.
No, I'm not going to put it in the worst because it's not a bad exercise.
No, but it is.
I think a kneeling.
A kneeling. Okay.
I like it. I like the
But
actual internal
the
feel.
standing hamstring curl at Warehouse, like the Watson single leg
Standing
I
or
thought,
kneeling.
yeah, I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah,
I'd
it
have
was
that over
pretty
a
good,
lying.
but yeah, I wouldn't.
Wouldn't you?
I
Yeah, I prefer.
it's
I quite
just,
like.
I think I know what you mean. Like
The internal
I think
feel,
that the question is: are we talking about personal experience, or are we talking about?
I think it's a bit of both.
Actual
I think it's a bit of both. This is a chilled out sort of approach. It's not. I don't want it to be so structured regarding everything.
No, but I think if we were to break it down and compare a prone versus a standing, a prone wins every time.
A prone does win, yeah, but I personally would prefer to do...
I know what you mean. Depends on the prone. There's some really nice. The Nautilus is a really nice one. The Nautilus
can we
Nitro.
just say, we need two options. Can we just say a prone and a lion? Awful. But
Prone and lion?
Yeah, prone and
standing. I don't know, what other hamstring exercises are there?
Well, we've got we could 45 degree hyper.
I'll tell you what, right, this is one I used to use with clients in Pure Gym. If the seated hamstring curl or the prone hamstring curl was in use. So you get either an exercise ball, like a big exercise ball, or you go onto the rower. You put your heels on the rower or the exercise ball. You lift your hips up and you perform a hamstring curl like that. Now it's hard, right? It's very hard.
Yeah, it's awkward. Yeah.
And it was good as an alternative, and clients were like, "Oh, this is amazing." I'm going to put that in the worst exercise.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's rowing machine hamstring curl in the worst.
That's hamstrings ticked off. Well, to be fair, because like a banded hamstring curl. That's the thing you've got to realise.
Yeah, but we can't say everything.
Yeah.
So, in terms of actual exercise.